Today's Ghana News TV is 2 years old, and Today's Ghana News TV is 2 years old, and we continue to give you the very best. Within our 2-year period, we have introduced our newspaper, the Evening Tribune.
The country where I come from, the truth is irony, just like animal farm. Justice mean inequity, so who go say the truth? Who go say the truth? Christian can say silence, Islamic leaders silence, kings and queens silence, traditional leaders silence, so who go say the truth? We are them go so confused the call. Now by area why no better. We are them go so confused the call. One guy's out area why no better. Who go say the truth? Who go say the truth? Oh, he need it now, see what I see so. Na your friend na your nkamasem. Onipa bi obeka na sembia. So antwankwa obechi wetu. Everybody was afraid. And until nanantuma koteti agenai. Once my boy dumping one anachi. But who go tell the truth? Nanai or say me. Nanso bien person beka wasam because everybody is afraid. Anya safwe muayini. Akukudro for nyina dalima. And who go say the truth? Obiadra konson so to cross your mansa to me be a kakobrafo. Efo anyina ye. Efo when you know yet. Na so kutrata down na so bidia back or why no keke. I fene for be man mo pia for efo ne cross on my mo. Hanya safwe mo ayini. Akuku drop for you na dalima. And who go say the truth? Abaya di bote chino. Yedi bi bebo nyande bi. Tachi se udi oma upipi numa. Would your mind never shine my frafonsa? But who go tell the truth? TUC silence, even journalists silence. Oh, then who go say the truth? Right is right. Wrong is wrong, no matter how you justify. You say you wanna get rid of corruption. Someone want to help you, now the person become your target. Jobless no they mean senseless. Poverty no they mean useless. One day them go resist.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to yet another exciting edition of MyView show here, live on Today Ghana News TV. Wherever you're watching us from, whether you're watching us from the Americas, or from Africa, or from Asia, we wish you a good morning, a good afternoon, or a good evening, depending on where you're watching us from. And for all our listeners on Sakina Information Center in Tatali, we warmly welcome you to today's show. Same applies to our listeners in on High FM 93.7 in Akwinhima in the Eastern region. And also same applies to our audience on the King's Radio in Accra, and also live on all your favorite social media networks, be it YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and all your networks that you may please to join us on. Over the past few weeks, in fact, over the past couple of weeks, if you have been our regular viewer or listener, we took a little detour from our normal journey on the West African continent to take a critical view at some events as they happened in Ghana. But today, we have resumed our West African tour. As a matter of fact, it could actually be an African tour to look at pertinent issues as they happen on the African continent and on the West African continent, to be precise, and how these have manifestation on the lives of individuals and the lives of the ordinary citizens, wherever they may be. And as development is our focus and progress is our main aim, we wish to always examine topics that would promote this agenda. That is why today, in particular, we have chosen to look at one industry that holds some significant prominence, but seem to be getting significant inattention from those that can make things be. And this is the movie industry. So today, we are looking at the role of the movie industry as a tool for creating jobs in the West African continent. And considering the significance of this topic, we went all out to bring in a special guest, as we always do, a guest who is well-versed as far as the movie industry in West Africa is concerned. Somebody who is a seasoned professional, who has all the knowledge it takes to discuss these matters. Today, we are joined by Madam Judith Oluwale Kwon. Madam Judith is as I said, is a veteran in the movie industry in West Africa, and I may say in Africa at large. And she is also the country representative of the Africa Movies Academy Award in Ghana. And she's going to join us today, explore the topics, and go into the details of the movie industry, its prospects, its challenges, and what it holds for Africa in general. Thank you very much, Madam Judith, for joining us today.
Thank you, Albert Alandachi, for having me.
And
I'm glad to be here.
It's a pleasure for us to have you today. And it's a pleasure for us to tap into your knowledge and expertise, especially at this period where the West African continent seems to be in a need for a lot of ideas. We are happy that you are willing and available to share your ideas with us and to share your knowledge with us. So once again, welcome to you, and we hope that we are going to have a very productive discussion with you. For our shows, normally we serve our viewers and our audience the best dinner there is to have every Monday evening. And normally our dinner is usually cooked in the kitchen of our guests. And so today we are having dinner in your kitchen. And we are going to have our dinner. Even though we are your guests, we are going to come with our demands. So we come with a full course, dividing our dinner into appetizer, then we move to the main course, and then you serve us with dessert, which we'll chew on for the rest of the week as we look forward to the coming week. So, Madam Judy, are you ready to serve us appetizer?
Yes, we have appetizers. In West Africa, the best come from the West, as you say.
All right, but before we go into even before we demand for appetizer from you, we'd like to find out from you how you are doing. How are you faring?
Oh, very well. where the economies across the world are not friendly. But it's an economy a situation that is general. We're coping and we're managing, and we're hoping that leadership will get it right this time.
Wonderful. Indeed. And at this particular moment, we can only hope and pray that things turn out for the better. And we look at your name, and your name is quite interesting. Oluwale, then we have Kuonu at the end. Seems like a blend of West Africa, Nigeria, and I don't know, depending on how you look at it, maybe Ghana, Togo, Ivory Coast. Who are you? Who are you specifically? Are you Ghanaian, Nigerian, Togolese?
Okay, so I'm a blend of the West African race. My father is Nigerian. Uh, my father's father is Nigerian from Yoruba. My father's mother is from Togo, and my mother is from Ghana. So the Kuanu is my mother's name, and the Oluwole is my father's name. So it's a blend of West African race.
So actually, we couldn't have had any other person to match your status, because we are discussing West Africa, and it's like you are a true representation of West Africa, as in you spread across the whole of West Africa. And so that is why we say that we are particularly privileged to have you join us today for dinner. Not actually join us, but host us for dinner today. So now we move right on to appetizer. And our appetizer is going to come to you in quick bullet questions. And the answers are yes or no. Then we move on to the main course. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So first course for appetizer. The movie industry is a serious industry and should not, and it's not a serious industry and should not preoccupy our attention at this stage. Yes or no?
It is a big no.
All right. So it is your contention that it's a serious industry and that
Yeah.
we should take it seriously.
Oh, yes.
Second question. More than ever before, the global movie industry has opened out new possibilities for West African movie industry. Yes or no?
Yes.
All right. So, third question for appetizer. The movie industry generates billions of dollars for governments in West Africa. Yes or no?
Oh, yes.
Good. Final question for appetizer. The movie industry has the prospect for creating jobs and employment for the youth in West Africa. Yes or no?
It's a big yes.
Thank you very much, Madam Judith,
Thank you
for
for having me.
so appetizer has been served. And
Yeah.
judging from the messages that are coming already, I am
Very
well aware.
sumptuous.
I,
Very
I,
sumptuous.
I think our viewers and audience have enjoyed the appetizer and they are looking out for more.
Yeah.
And more they shall get. So
Absolutely.
let's move into the topic proper. And your industry, even though consumed by majority consumed by most, seem to be an industry that is least known by a majority, as in there are a lot of misconceptions and misconceptions around the industry. Can you explain a little to the layman's understanding, what the movie industry is all about?
Okay, so thank you for having me, and greetings to viewers across the world. Um, the film industry, we call it the film industry. We don't call it movie because movie is just a segment of it. It is an industry that tells the story of Africa. It's an industry that employs a lot of people and creates jobs. It's an industry that, if the right authorities or the right institutions of the state pay more attention to, it elevates the image of the Africans and the West African sub-region. And when you look at this industry, it's the major industry that carries our culture from where we are. Take for instance, you look at the Hollywood. The Americans have been able to place it on that pedestal to tell their stories. And it places the Americans on that pedestal that people want to see them. So when you talk about America, you first of all talk about the Hollywood, what is being presented with in their culture artistically. And that's the same thing that the film industry in Africa presents the world. At this point, it's a foreign exchange earner, big time for Africa or for West Africa. And you look at the Nollywoods, Nollywoods have gone farther than what we have imagined, even though um, um, it is not a government-based enterprise. It is like people, private enterprise growing, has been able to grow beyond what even government can do for people in this part of the world. So if we want to talk about the film industry, it's a lot in there. It gives in creativity, it gives it educates, it informs, and it also presents the image, the culture of Africa to the world. So I think that what the film industry can offer is beyond what we can think of. Looking at the film industry, first of all, there you get the costumes, there you get the artistic designs. Look at the creative aspect that the film industry employs. You're looking at production design, you're looking at the makeup, the artistic, a whole lot, even graphic designs. All of these are things that comes out of just one film produced. Look at the number of people employed. Look at the production people. Look at the directors. Look at the designers. Look at the costumes. Look at all of that for one particular industry to pick all of these people and put them together to be able to churn out something for us. I want to believe that if the right authority that we have pay more attention to that aspect, it will create more jobs and it will help the economy to grow.
Yeah, I would like to pick up on one thing that you mentioned. You talked about the fact that it tells the story of Africa, or it tells the story of the people. Um, what is the importance of telling our story? Why do we need to tell our story to anybody? I mean, storytelling. For those who grew up in the villages, it was something for fun and entertainment. At the end of a long day's work, grandparents gather their grandchildren together and they tell their stories. Why is storytelling so important for the African continent at this point in time, or at any point in time?
Okay, this gives us an identity. Who are we? We are blacks. They tell us that we are monkeys. They tell us, the developed ones, the Western worlds, they tell us that we are not civilized. They tell us that we are inhuman. But our story tells us something else because that's our identity. And we need the world to know us. We don't need others to tell our stories. We need ourselves to be able to let the world know who we are. The Hollywood tells its stories. Why can't we tell our story?
Hmm, interesting. So, is your contention that if there is a story to be told about Africa or wherever, it behoves on the creators of that story to tell their own story rather than have foreigners tell it on their behalf?
Yes, because they can't tell it the way we would tell it. We know our story. We know our origin. Why should they come and tell us our story? Most of our stories they've told us, they are not the real story. Even though our ancestors were there and they came, rob us, take all our belongings away, they tell the stories the other way. They didn't tell us how it happened. They didn't tell us how they came in and stole us away. So it behoves on us to be able to tell our own story. And the only way we can tell it is within our film.
Well, Madam Judy, we have been trying to tell our story for some time. From the 60s all the way through the 90s. When through the 90s, we had some kind of rejuvenation. It kind of went up, came down, but we seem to be finding our feet in the purpose of telling our story using the media using the film industry in general, as you've corrected me, not movie, but film industry. In your professional assessment, what's the current state of this film industry in West Africa?
Okay. The current state of the film, as far as I'm concerned, is a state that needs the right kind of support from all of us, from the governance to the people. You know that it's an industry that is very vast and needs a lot of financial upliftment. And if the right kind of authority, we've got governance in Africa, Ministry of Culture, Ministry of that, this, that, and all of that. But what we need to ask ourselves is that what attention do governments pay to this industry that employ more hands? What attention, if not for the people striving to ensure that they keep it alive, what what are we getting from the right kind of authorities to ensure that this industry stay firm? Say for instance, when the state is having an event, you see them go to pick stage people in culture, come and dance. They are all artists. We have them we have them to use to suit us. But when it comes to supporting their trade, they are nowhere to be found. No state authority is ready to grow that industry, but they're always ready to have them, to showcase them in terms of state programs, state shows. After then, they are forgotten. Those are the things that we face as an industry. So where do we go from here? So if you see that industry strive, is out of the pocket of the few people that still believe that someday something will happen. But the authorities are not helping the industry, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, you say the authorities are not helping the industry, and you have painted a picture of an industry that is challenged and that needs assistance. Reports that from the media and other sources have it that if we look at the Nollywood industry, for instance, that the Nollywood industry in the year 2021 generated over $6.4 billion in the year 2021 and employed over 1 million people in Nigeria alone. Clearly, these are no mean figures. 6.4 billion to any economy, any country, is a lot of money. And any industry that employs as much as 1 million people, speaking conservatively, is a huge industry. And in fact, reports say that the Nollywood industry, in particular, is only second to the Hollywood in terms of the film industry. But the picture that you have painted is one that is challenged. Can we probably, before we even try to go into solutions and everything, can we try and examine the challenges that are inhibiting, this industry from attaining its full potential? What would you say are some of the things that are drawbacks that are setting this industry back in trying to achieve its full potential?
Okay, so if I may start from Nollywood, the makeup of the Nigerian is, I would say that it's a kind of human beings that business is in their DNA, and it's an industry that they saw that is very lucrative, so they decided to make it work as individual business people. They got support from people to grow that industry, and the state came in at a point to support them with the Bank of Industry to be able to support producers, major producers, to grow the business. And this went a long way by getting cinemas to work there. And the cinemas were built across the country. And when a producer is going to produce a film, he already does his calculation per the cinemas that will see the film based on a bit of support from the state to grow that aspect of business. And because they have the numbers, um, when the production is being done, the numbers are already calculated. You can do your maths, and you know that you're going to make your money out of this. Compared to the other West African countries that we have, I'm in Ghana, and I know that even though we've had promises by governments here and there, when they are coming to power, they use our people to do the campaigns. They use them as a forefront to go door to door, which I am also very much aware. They use them to do the campaign on TV. They promise they will build cinema in Kumasi, another new one in Accra. They will build in Takoradi. When they come, nothing is ever done. In fact, they are never given audience to when they are in power. So our people will start languishing over here till the next government comes to power. So we'll start hoping again. You can look for yourself. You are Ghanaian. Over the past years, what have we done as a people for this industry? Major things, so that we'll know that, okay, this is the government that came. This is what it's been able to do. I can assure you, the only major thing that Rawlings during his regime was the National Theatre, which kept the film industry standing till now. If we don't have that, I don't know anything else we have as a country. So if we don't have theaters for producers, let's say that government provide the structures. Osajefu Dr. Kwame Nkrumah built the Ghana film. In the whole of Africa, he was the first person that built the film industry. And because he knows that's a tool to sell Africa to the world. So he's been able to do that, builds, and ensures that he grows it till he was ousted. After then, which other government has really come to say that I want to be able to build an industry to give these creative arts people a trade? These are the people we use for our programs. These are the people we use even to brush up our face when, in terms of things not going well, we push them forward to go and dance and to do things, to dramatize things. When we are doing stage shows, what do we do for them? Most of our film actors and actresses, when it gets a particular age, they are home, languishing in poverty. No package to say that, oh, these people, they were an integral part of our entertainment industry back in the day. So every year, this is package we have in this ministry, so that it will be shared and it will be given to them, at least to cushion them a little. Nothing of that sort is done. They keep our screens alive. I'll say this and say it again. They keep our entertainment alive. They keep the homes alive. Those are some of the challenges. If you don't, if you say a country that doesn't appreciate is the people that served here, it's not a country worth dying for. People have died for this country. What do we get back? Lies from authorities that should help to grow the industry.
Yeah, so Madam Judith, you've highlighted and painted some of the major challenges that confront your industry. Moving forward, we probably would like to take a look at the industry or the organization that you represent in Ghana and go into detail and try to find solutions to some of the challenges that you have highlighted in the first segment of this show. So, but before we move there, probably we are going to take a short break. And when we return, we are going to delve into the Africa Movie Awards, which Madam Judith is a representative or country rep for Ghana. And then we take some messages from our viewers and audience, and then we proceed from there. So,
Today's Ghana News TV is 2 years old, and we continue to give you the very best. Within our 2-year period, we have introduced our newspaper, the Evening Tribune. Tribune, when it comes, tribulation, you should expect it. It comes with all the hardcore news items, and we report it as it is, as you see it, and as you hear it. So do make a date with us. It comes out every Wednesday, so Thursday morning is right up there. Get a copy of it and get more informed. Do get in touch with us, and we have any article, we will do the publication for you.
Well, welcome back to yet another exciting edition of Today Ghana News TV. And we particularly recognize our listeners on Sakina Information Center in Teteli in Northern Ghana. Also, we pay heed to our listeners on Hein FM 93.7 in Achonhimai in the Eastern region and the King's Radio in Accra. And also to all our viewers and listeners on all social media networks, on YouTube, on Twitter, on Twitch, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, and on all other social media networks, broadcasting as Today Ghana News TV. So we'll take some comments from our viewers now, and then we rejoin Madam Judith, and then we proceed to look at some of the solutions that we can have to this industry. So we have a comment from Umar Dunis. Thank you very much, Alaji Umar, for joining us today. You say, good evening, my able Deputy Chapter Secretary, Prof. Albert. Keep the good work for our great NDC party. More grease to your elbows. More grease to you, Alaji Umar, for doing the viewing and for doing the watching and listening as always. We also have Asempa Boachi. Asempa Boachi says he's watching and listening from Achonhimai in the Eastern region of Ghana. Thank you very much, Asempa, for doing the listening as always. We have our next comment from Kweku Yevo. Greetings. Good evening. Eating from is this Suhum in the Eastern region. Yes, we are happy that you are enjoying the dinner that we are serving you today, right in your home or wherever you are in the Eastern region. Benjamin A.D. Houston. Benjamin says he's watching us from Taifa. Thank you very much, Benjamin, for joining us, and thank you for doing the watching and the listening. Alaji Umar is back again. He says, wonderful guest, Mrs. Kuonu, talented and on top of issues. Kudos. Yes, of course, very talented and very on top of issues. And that is why we are eating from her kitchen today, so that she can educate us on the film industry. Amansambuafu says, Madam is on top of the issues. Yes, of course, Amansambuafu, she's on top of the issues, and you are on top of the viewing and the listening. And we are grateful, to you for that. Ose Superior says, please ask what needs to be done to revive Ghana's dead movie industry. Watching from Barcelona, Spain. Yes, thank you very much, Ose Superior. We are going to put that question to her. Mavis Boateng says, bravo, watching from Lisbon, Portugal. Thank you very much, Mavis, for doing the watching all the way from Portugal. Continana, how are you doing? He says, I remember her meeting former President John Mahama about the same issue. What is the outcome of that meeting? Watching from Warsaw. Thank you very much, Continana, for your question, and we'll put the question to our able guest. Benjamin A.D. Houston says, well said, Madam Judy. Of course, well said. Thank you very much, Benjamin, for doing the watching. Jaframa TV says, we are also picking your feed live. Thank you very much, Jaframa TV, for picking the feed, and thank you very much for spreading this information needed, as always, in the West African sub-region. And not only that, also in Africa. He says from Rara in OT region. Oh, okay, that's fine. Thank you very much, and thank you to all the viewers and listeners in Rara in the OT region for doing the viewing and the listening wherever you may be. So we welcome back our guest, and then we probably would move into the next segment of our discussion, which is directed or channeled towards finding more solutions to some of the challenges that she espoused eloquently in the first half of the show. So welcome back, Madam Judy, for joining us. We have a few questions from our viewers and listeners. We would probably come back to them, get into the latter stages of this particular program. But before we go, we also notice that you are not only well-knowledge or well-versed in the film industry, but you are also the the rep of the African Movie Academy Awards in Ghana. For those who are, we say, the layman, right? What's this organization?
Okay, so the African Movie Academy Awards is an award that started 19 years ago, and the founder of blessed memory today, Peace Ayam Osigwe, she passed this January to the bosom of the Lord, and she has done too much of work to put the African film into the world pedestal. It is an organization that have all of the African filmmakers all together under one umbrella. And what we tend to achieve, what she was trying to achieve to ensure that we have a voice as an African filmmakers. We have a voice as movie players. We also have a voice as creative content people in the space of Africa. So she created an avenue to ensure that the world recognizes what Africa is doing in terms of film across Africa. So she went all through to the Hollywood, to wherever across the world, to film festivals, to ensure that the best of the best films in Africa is sent to some of those international film festivals for recognition. So she has played a pivotal role in putting the African film into that space which we expected it. I remember that when we finished with the African film, the best of the best African films at the awards in Africa, is sent to all the film festivals across the world. AMA is connected to a lot of film festivals across the world. I don't know the number of now, but I'm sure it will be more than almost 100 now, film festivals. So most of the films that come out of Africa, recognized in Africa, are sent to this film festival for better recognition as well, so that filmmakers will be able to make some sort of income. So it's also a foreign exchange earner for filmmakers, because when your film goes beyond here, that means that it goes to cinemas across the world, it goes to those kind of places that people want to see them. When we go to the LA Film Festival, most of the films from the African Movie Academy Awards across Africa is sent there, and it's being screened across the screens. So a lot of people that comes as a tourist persons across the world come and they want to pay in to see your film. So that goes a long way to help the African filmmaker and to also promote the works of the African filmmaker and to also put the ordinary African filmmaker into that pedestal of the world film players. So that is what African Movie Academy Awards have done. Kudos to Madam Peace Ayam Osigwe. Wherever she is now in the heart of the Lord, God will bless her for bringing to Africa the African Film Academy Awards.
Indeed, kudos to her, and may her soul find rest in the bosom of her creator, and may she rest in perfect peace.
Amen.
In your submission, in paying tribute to the founder of your organization, you said what she wanted to do, or one of her main aims, was to give the movie or the film industry a voice. Would you say that today you have that voice that she was looking for?
Absolutely, we have a voice. Because if you look at some of the films out of the shores of Africa that makes waves in the West, in Europe, most of the time the African film maker has a space in there. In the past, we don't have a space. In the past, we are just saying as we are within our markets. But she's been able to pave the way, ensuring that she meets with top film organizations across the world and register our names there. So she did it to that point that Africa is being recognized and Nollywood is being recognized. And as far as Africa is concerned, we are Nollywood. Whether it's coming from Nigeria or not, when you leave these shores, you go there, they see any of our films as Nollywood. And that's what we have. And we are proud to have it.
Well, interesting. I mean, considering the fact that the film industry in Africa, in your submission, considering the fact that you have found this voice and that you have a platform, and even on the global stage, you have this kind of recognition. Let's tie this up to some form of development or progress in the West African sub-region in particular. And I would like to give you a little bit of a background to where we are moving. In recent times, sociopolitically, the West African sub-region have come under some bit of a turmoil, ranging from coup d'etats in a few countries to, jihadi uprising and armed militancy in some regions. And when you read about the genesis or what provoked some of these things, mostly they boil down to two factors among others. One being the fact that their economies are not doing well, but more importantly, the fact that there is a teeming mass of youth unemployment out there in these countries that are left roaming the streets. In fact, well-educated youth who are roaming the streets without jobs. Now, considering your industry, what would you say can be the role of your industry in trying to, first of all, so it's a two-pronged question. First of all, try to shore up the economies of these countries. Second of all, try to absorb this mass unemployed youth that are turning out to be security threats to their own countries. So what do you think would be the contribution of your industry in these two aspects?
Thank you for the question. Our industry have always tried to do for itself what others cannot do for themselves. And God is creative. So when you see an ordinary creative African person, it represents, I wouldn't say it is God, but it represents God, because God says we are gods on this in this world. When you see a creative mind, you will know that the creative mind needs just a bit of support. Look at the space of the technology, the digital space right now. You see that a lot of young people are creating content for themselves within that space, even without any support from anywhere. They just look for a way, because if the governance that we have in Africa is short of ideas, I want to believe that the creative people can give much more idea to generate employment. But it's not forthcoming, and they are living in their drones. They are living in drones out of the shores. Sometimes I'm tempted to say that the best brains have all left, but they haven't all left. They are here, but we cannot all live here. Who will be left to take care of this continent for us? It's just left for the leadership that we have to recognize that this is an industry. What can we do to uplift the image of this industry, or to help to grow this industry? It is an industry that can be grown. But sometimes you just wonder that when leadership gets there, they are totally forgotten. We are totally forgotten. Let me put myself there. We are totally forgotten. And there are so many ideas within this industry that could be activated, but we don't get that help to be activated. I think that governance should take a very good look at their structures in terms of this industry of creative minds. Young people, in the past, if you say you want your child to be a footballer, people will frown at it. But now everybody wants a child to become a footballer and earn good money. Sometimes in the past, if you say you want your child to be an actor or something, some people say, "Hey, never. What will you be doing there?" and all of that. At a point, people want their children to be artists, musicians, and all of those things. And it tells you that if that knowledge, that particular area is well taken care of and is well structured, there is more to come from there, because there's a lot to be made out of there. And there's so many employment opportunities in that regard. But we don't have governance. Even Mother Africa is suffering from leadership. And that's what we have to be praying and to work towards. Probably we get an institution that will start training leaders to help us out of this mess, because it's a total mess in Africa. Sorry.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's good you talked about leadership and and the lack of it, or the challenges of it. One of our viewers, I think that is a Conti Nana. Conti Nana sent a question that I remember her meeting former President John Mahama. Yeah, she remember you meeting, and he wants to know what was the outcome of your meeting.
Okay, so I remember that some years ago, it was Professor Atamils of blessed memory. That was the year that the Ghanaians won almost all of the awards in Nigeria. I mean, bringing back home glory to the country. So Professor Mills invited us. Unfortunately, he traveled and was unable to meet us. So because we are already there then it wasn't the Flagstaff, it was the
Castle.
other castle. Yes, so we were there.
Yeah.
Yes, we were there. So we learned it. Professor Mill has invited, but he traveled. He was unable to make it back around the time. And he will actually be coming that evening, but he couldn't make it back on the time he gave us. So we're to meet His Excellency John Mahama. So we actually let him know what happened. We went to the awards. Ghana won most of the awards. Ghana won I think the chunk of all of the major awards with a film. I'm trying to remember then, with some of the films as well. And we were told they would get back to us Up until tomorrow, we are still waiting for them to get back to us. That was what happened.
Well, that ties well into the other question from one of our viewers, Ose Superior. Ose Superior wants to know. He said, I should ask you what you think needs to be done to revive Ghana's dead movie industry. And Ose Superior is watching us from Barcelona.
Okay, so thank you, Osei. I don't think the Ghana film industry is dead. I don't agree. It is not dead. It only needs support. It needs governance and help. You know, at a point, there are some things you can't do without that kind of backing, which is that we need cinemas to show our films for people to pay and even come and watch. There are no cinemas. We need structures. There are some major now is most of the things are digital. We need some little, maybe we need some little loan facility to support filmmaker. So when they finish, they pay back. There are nothing like that. We don't have anything. In fact, we are just struggling to do our own thing. And government knows what to do. There are so many documents, there are so many proposals sent to government to be able to help to grow the industry. They refuse, oh. It's not like they're even looking at it. They'll collect and dump on their table. When they want to do campaign, they will call them, yeah, come and dance around and go and campaign for us. That's what we've been used for. Our people have been used for over the years. So much more government can do in terms of finance, in terms of structure, in terms of also helping to build the image. At a point, you need avenues like the major government, maybe broadcasting corporation to do some promotions to help build an industry. The airtime is there, but I mean, nobody is ready to even listen to you. Who are you in the first place? So if that channel is open, some of these channels are open to support these filmmakers, I believe that employment will be created. Young people will not go away because if they do this within here, they will make something for themselves. Look at the kind of jobs that our people go out there to do. And these are creative minds, educated people from the universities. They paid all of their dues out of school. They come out of school and they are roaming everywhere because there's nothing to do. And government can just create some of these some of these structures to just absorb these young people, and they will deliver. And it takes governance to do this because individuals don't have that capacity to do this. And even even the development partners that could come in to help. We don't know where they channel their stuff to. They also channel it through the government, and government also wallow it into somewhere. We don't know what is happening. No. The industry needs help, and that help has to come from government, whether they like it or not.
Well, it's interesting you are mentioning government. I
Yes.
remember I had a discussion on this with someone a few weeks ago, and he tried to talk about it looking at from regulatory and policy point of view. And his proposal was that the state can, for instance, use the strength of the state to instruct media houses to dedicate a portion of their airtime to only local content and not go beyond that, so as to encourage local content, the production and the airing of local content on the local media spaces, rather than allow the media houses to go sourcing for telenovela from, I don't know, South America, Asia, and then have local producers struggle to produce and struggle to even find airtime in order to show their product. What do you think that this might help in any way?
Yes, it's also help. You know, that's why I mentioned that you have the state-owned even stations that are rather not giving audience to the people. And well, now the technology has also helped in a way that you have to be able to put your content online for viewing and you get something out of it. That aspect of the government producing airtime and all of that, I believe will fade away very soon because technology would make it look useless. But when we are talking about now, is that governance to prepare the structures. For instance, you know that if we have, in those days, I used to go to the campuses across the country to show film on campus, and I get the SRC to support me, and they would market the tickets, and I'll show the films at the campuses, and I'll make money. They have their share because they know they have their share, and they will work so hard so that they can sell more. A lot of sometimes we do in a university we can do like 3 or 4 showing viewing before the next morning, all through the night, and we make our money because they have the structure like an edifice, a bigger hall to show this, and the students are making money. Even when I'm in Accra, I'm unable to go. They will call it, Judith, when are you bringing the next film? Our people are calling for film. So it tells you that they are already making some funds. I'm also making my money. So those are the structures that we need just for people to see the kind of film they want to be entertained. We are unable to give them that entertainment, so the money stays in their pocket and the money is channeled elsewhere. That money would go into another person's venture and you build another industry, which you're unable to do. So it doesn't take one individual to do that. If we pay our taxes, and taxes are being put on everything we do, even if you walk from here to that place now in Ghana, you pay tax. You enter one eatery, the tax is more than the food you are eating. So what are we using the taxes for? Is it not to just build structures to generate more money? And this is where we found ourselves.
Well, I thank you very much. I will take a few questions from viewers and then we wrap up. Asempa Buachi wants to know. Well, before we go to Asempa Buachi, Amansandofo says he wants to know what is the category of the awards and who is qualified to participate. Yeah, and then afterwards, then we take this other one from Asempa Buachi, who wants to know whether you agree that the government should support the movie industry with some percentage of the TV license fee. So we take the first one from Amansam Buafo, who wants to know what are the categories of the award and who is qualified to participate.
Okay, so the categories of the African Movie Awards, we have about 26 categories. Everyone can participate because we have to the point of our indigenous languages film. So over the years, we've also submitted some of the indigenous languages, and sometimes we get some of them being nominated for some of these awards. So everybody can submit a film, and our jury are selected filmmakers across Africa and the world. And these are learned people around film. So they give you, they look at it with a point of view of the African filmmaker, and technically they ensure the right film is represented in the world from the African sub-regions.
Okay. All right. So and everyone is
eligible. Everybody is eligible. Yes.
As long as they have good content, they are qualified.
Yes. Yes, they are qualified.
All right. And do we have one coming up this year?
Yes, the African Movie Academy Awards for this year, even though our founder is going to rest, the awards still hold on the 29th of October in Lagos, Nigeria.
Oh, and that's pretty soon.
Yes,
and yeah, so if you are viewing us and you are listening, next one is pretty soon in October, and it's just around the corner, and it shall happen soon. So we will take this other one. I think this is a quick one. Do you support the that government should give a portion of their of the TV license to the movie industry?
Okay, so I don't know what TV license is at this moment. I don't know whether we are paying because I haven't paid TV license, so I don't know what that is. I think that The way they levy everything everywhere, and there should be a levy to support this industry if they don't have the funds. That's what I think.
Yeah, okay. All right. That's wonderful. I think we have one last comment. This is actually not a question. One last comment from Larry Dachie, Larry King. He says, we are also picking your feed live from Ghana, I think in the Upper West region. Yeah, okay. Thank you very much to all the people in Upper West region. Thank you very much, Larry, for doing the listening or doing the watching wherever you may be. So so we are running up now. So this is let's consider this as dessert. So, Madam Judith, considering all the challenges that you have enumerated and all the possible solutions that you have propounded, where do you see the film industry in the next decade?
Excuse me, sir.
Where do you see the movie industry in the next decade? 10 years from now.
Okay.
Where do you see the movie industry?
Okay, so for the film industry in the next decade, I believe that young people are more innovative, and I believe that even if the states don't want to help, they are taking the bull by the horn by themselves. And I believe that um, technology, in a way, will bail us out as we move forward. And I believe that we're still hoping, trusting that we have the kind of leadership that will take this industry from where we are now to a better place.
Wonderful. So we are concluding on a positive note, and even though there are challenges, there's always hope, and it's the hope that keeps us alive. And we are hopeful that moving forward, the movie industry is going to live up to its full potential and be one of the engines that is going to propel Africa in its bids for development. But before we let you go, Madam Judith, do you have any final any sorry, I don't like using the term final words. It doesn't come out well. Do you have any part some message for our viewers before we leave?
Okay, so viewers, thank you for watching. But I want us to see this as a unified cause. A lot of the times we have creative minds, we have creative children coming out of the schools, and we're giving birth to creative children. What future do we hold as a nation for these creative minds? So we pray and we hope. We pray for our leaders to look at this industry as an industry they need to invest in, because I know there's money in Africa, but it's for them to channel it to the right sources. Thank you.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Madam Judith Oluwole Kuwonu, for joining us this evening and for sharing with us your insight into the movie industry. Indeed, for the Nollywood industry alone to be able to generate the billions of dollars that it generates, for the Nollywood industry alone to be able to generate the kind of employment that it generates, and actually for what is now known as the Gollywood industry to be generating the kind of resources that it generates, this can only be an industry that requires the support of every Tom, Dick, and Harry, especially those who are armed with resources and with state authority to look at this, examine how they can contribute towards developing this industry, to expand its horizon and to broaden it, and to capture as many people as possible, so that this industry can be, as I said earlier, an engine that propel Africa towards growth that we need. And for those parents who have creative minds out there, it is our hope and prayer that you would support them, that you would give them the necessary encouragement that they get, and not try to shoehorn them into other sectors where their calling do not reside. For it is only when people pursue what their calling is that they can attain their true potential, their full potential, and be able to live up to what their true life mission is. So on this note, we thank all our viewers and listeners, all our listeners in Tatali who are listening to us on Sakina Information Center, all our listeners on High FM 93.7 FM in Akwinhimai in the Eastern region, all our listeners on the King's Radio in Accra, and also to our viewers on all social media handles on Today Ghana News TV, live on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Twitch, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, and many more. So until next week, when we come your way with yet another exciting to chew on this, as we come to you again with another exciting edition. Stay blessed and stay tuned to Today Ghana News TV. Good evening to you all.
The Africa Movie Academy Awards has unveiled the nominations for the 2023 edition of the Continental Film and Movie Awards. Following a press conference on Thursday, 21st of September, the Renaissance Legacy Motion themed nominations was unveiled by the members of the Africa Movie Academy Awards. According to the nominations list, comprising a total of 26 categories presented by Chairman of the Jury, Steve Ayanride, Nigerian movies, amongst others, secured nominations in various categories, including Anikulapo, directed by the renowned Nollywood filmmaker and actor Kunle Afolayan, as well as Gangs of Lagos, directed by the talented Jadesola Oshiberu. Despite the unfortunate death of its founder, Peace Ayamosigwe, earlier this year, the Academy remains resolute in its commitment to hosting its 19th award ceremony. The event is scheduled to take place on October 29th this year at the Balmoral Hall in Sheraton, Ikeja, Lagos.
Ama is reaching out. I told you at the beginning that we received more than 300, if not up to 400 films across Africa and the diaspora in total. There has never been a year that you will have all the 54 African countries submitting at the same time. And you also have to take note of the fact that not all countries are like Nigeria, where at least according to the figures from the National Film and Video Censors Board, you have more than 2,000 feature films on an annual basis. There are many African countries that maybe is only one feature film that will come out in 2 or 3 years. So anytime, what we are happy about in AMA is that when we hear that there's a film from Namibia this year, from Uganda, from Angola, from Mozambique, different parts of the country, we're happy because we know that it is not every time that you get films on a yearly basis from them.